Mike, what do you think? What's the hardest thing about being a real estate agent for a living?
Once I start making one, I'll let you know. But I think the hardest part about it is that there's only about a zillion of us out there. You know,
Okay.
I came from a different sales world where I was a particular product in a particular region. So how do you stand out amongst the noise of 10,000 or 30,000 acres? How many are in Greater Atlanta?
40,000. So that's a great point. I'm going to call it marginalization. Okay? So, Rob, you've been doing this forever. How long have you been in real estate?
22 years.
22 years. What's the hardest part about being a real estate agent to you?
The hardest part is the daily consistency of always being moving.
Okay.
It's one of the hardest things because it's
Okay.
the excitement of the game is always something different. Every deal's different. But the consistency of staying motivated too.
Great. How long have you been in the mortgage business?
30 years.
30 years. Damn, you must be old.
I am old.
What's the hardest part about being in the mortgage business?
It's changed a little bit. It used to be prospecting. Now it's taking enough effort every day, every week to earn the trust of real estate agents.
Okay. So, trust? Okay. Interesting. Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been in real estate?
29 years.
Damn, you must be old too. We got a bunch of old people in here, don't we?
I survived 2008.
You know, some of you have been in real estate longer than some of these people have been alive.
You used to be able to start when you were 10 back when I was younger.
What's the hardest part about being in real estate for a living to you?
The daily consistency.
Okay, so you say consistency too. What's hard about that?
You're accountable to yourself, and even with great coaches and things, which helps. Bottom line is no one's going to get up and do it for you.
So like motivating yourself, managing yourself, that kind of stuff? Does anybody else suffer from that too? Like, I just don't want to. Like, I know what I'm supposed to do today because we talk about this like infinitely, right? Do it. Rejection? Okay, great. Casey, how long have you been in real estate? Because proportionally to you might be the highest percentage.
Half of my life, so 20 years.
What's the hardest part about being in real estate to you?
It's the consistency.
Consistency, okay.
Can I add to that? I also, the generating of ideas
Okay,
that I will commit to, but I don't know, that's just my opinion.
okay. Tara, what's the hardest part about being in real estate to you?
Managing myself.
Managing yourself. I'm going to put that out here because that kind of goes along with consistency a little bit. Managing myself. So Tara, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. If I got hit by a train tonight, splat, right? And tomorrow morning my attorneys called you and said, hey, we got good news and bad news. Okay? The bad news is Mike exited the planet last night. Let's call that bad news, okay? I know what some of you are thinking, Philip, you little smart ass back there in the back. The good news is he left Century 21 Connect to you.
Oh, Lord. That's bad news, too.
Could you sit in my office and tell everybody else what they ought to do to be a productive real estate agent tomorrow?
No. I mean, I got good notes from when you told me. See, I probably could.
Yeah, you could. could sit in my office at my desk and tell other people what they need to do every day to be successful. If you don't raise your hand, you're just a bald-faced liar. You didn't raise your hand because you're brand new to the business, right? You could still do it. You just pull out my Ninja Selling book every morning about 8 o'clock, read a couple chapters, take you 15 minutes, and then walk in here and say, okay, so here's what you need to do today. You could do it. Everybody can tell other people what they need to do today. That's easy. Oops, I just became disconnected. Oh, I did stay connected. Okay, I'm back. See, we're running a very highly produced program here. We are awesome at telling other people what they need to do. Greg, you used to run a gigantic mortgage operation. I don't know if y'all know this about Greg, but he ran a really, really big mortgage operation. I don't know, at one time, how many originators did you have reporting underneath you?
280.
280. Were you pretty good at telling them what they needed to do every day?
Yes, but they didn't listen.
And do you, every day, if you were your boss, are you doing right now what you would have told everybody else to be doing every day?
No.
No. See how good? He had 280 that he was a guru, okay? He was a guru. And he could tell anybody else what to do. But doing it ourselves, oh my gosh, it's the hardest part. Zoe, so you graduated from Georgia with honors, right? Okay, watch this. Did you go to class? How would you rate your attendance at class? Like a 0 to 100. How often were you there?
Like 99%.
It was rare if you were sick or you had something going on that mandated you weren't there. Otherwise, you got up, got dressed, and went to class every day. Could you have graduated if you never studied?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. You could have graduated?
Yeah.
Just go to class every day? Mm-hmm. That's what I think too. When I went to Georgia, I had 6 roommates in 4 years. 5 of them failed out of school. Why did they fail out of school? Because they weren't smart enough? They were plenty smart enough to be there. They wouldn't have been there if they weren't. They couldn't get up and go to class every day. They needed to stay at home. Those of you with adult children, you might be really relating with this right now. What those 5 roommates really needed to do was they needed to go to Georgia State or Kennesaw. They needed to live at home with mom and dad, and mom bitch at them every morning to get up and go to class. And they would have called their mom a bitch. Oh, my mom's a total bitch. She just nags and nags and nags. Yeah, dude, if she didn't, you wouldn't get up and go to class. You would have called your, but you'd have a degree. Why? If you just go to class every day, you could graduate. Graduate with honors?
If you just went to class? Probably not.
Probably not, but you would have had the degree. Since you've graduated, which has been what, 3-4 years now? 4.5. So she's in her 20s, she still measures half years, right? Greg measures half decades, right? How many decades have you been in the business? Oh, 3.5. When was the last time somebody asked you what your grades were when you got out of school? Never. So you could have just graduated with a C. It would have been the same thing. Was that a requirement of your getting your job here?
No.
Did I ever ask you what kind of grades you were making? I didn't care. It didn't matter. The point was, just like with my college roommates and just like what you guys are saying in this business, it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to be consistent. It's the hardest thing, I absolutely agree with this, is this. That's brutal. Why? Greg can manage 280 other people. I can sit in my office, come in and meet with me on a coaching session. I'm king of the world at telling you what you need to do. Oh, we can build a plan. I can have a schedule with you. You can have you know how I do this, right? Every waking hour, right, Adam? There's an activity for every waking hour. You just have to be willing to do it. That makes sense? It's logical. Do I do it? Well, I don't have to tell you. Could you do that with your 280 loan originators? Could you have turned any one of them into a superstar if they would just listen and implement?
Oh, no doubt.
I'd say this to all you guys every day. I'll turn any of you into a $20 million a year producer. All you have to do is listen and be willing to implement. You have to be willing to manage yourself. And here's what I think that really means. That means not on your good days. So Casey, do you have days when you feel like it and days when you don't feel like it?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not worried about the days that you do feel like it. I know Motivated Casey. Motivated Casey's a pretty cool dude. I also know that, like, anybody seen Casey? Like, Zoe, have you seen Casey in like the last week? Did I miss him? Nope. Like, that's the Casey I worry about. I worry about unmotivated Casey. And I'm picking on Casey because he's fun to pick on, and then run because he's so big. But I think all of us have a motivated Mike and an unmotivated Mike. Motivated Mike's got no issues. Motivated Mike, like when that dude decides to show up, we're on. And Zoe will recognize it by 8:32 in the morning. You should see the look in her eyes like, oh, damn, it's going to be one of those days. I'm like, yeah, here's the 29 things we have to get done today, right? And then other days it's like, hi. It's the days I don't feel like it that are the problem. And then it gets compounded with this. You guys, every single one of you in the room, you're your own harshest critic. Tara, I know you well. Nobody's harder on Tara than you are. So we say things like this. I'm lazy. I'm unmotivated. I get distracted easily. Hey, you and everybody else on the planet. You see this manifested in all phases of life. Greg, how long have you been married to Michelle now?
12 years.
12. He won't answer this, but we'll have some fun with it anyhow, right? Every day is like the first date.
Honestly?
You lying dog. You tell the truth. I knew with the camera on. He's sitting there. You should see the look on his face. His look is like, okay, don't like tell the truth here. Let's put, yes, every day with Jane is like the first date we went out on, and the passion and the spark and the lust and the love and the infatuation, it's there every day. No. Joe, how long have you been married now?
In a couple of weeks, it'll be 25 years.
25 years. And every day's like, Zoe just had her first year anniversary. They go on a trip, right? You go on a trip every year for your anniversary?
No.
So like anniversary number 9, where'd you go?
I couldn't tell you.
You couldn't tell me. Good for you,
Thanks.
right? Enjoy it. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're a human. They write books on this stuff. Biorhythms. Anybody ever heard the biorhythms? You can come up with all. I don't know. Anybody in the room into astrology?
Yeah.
You are?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so what are you?
Capricorn.
You're a Capricorn. What's that mean? What are your personality traits as a Capricorn? Come on, fill us up with some bullshit right here. Let's get.
Dedicated to things I put my mind to, and easily run away from things that I don't give a rat's ass about.
You notice how they're never negative things? Hardworking, diligent, whatever I put my mind to, I accomplish. It's total bullshit. It is us trying to come up with an explanation for, like, how do I stay? Are you that all the time?
95% of the time.
What about the 5?
I'm not around.
So Biorhythms, if this was a sports thing right now, this is what they're doing next door with this place over here. How do you stay in peak performance all the time? Because, like, I don't know, Greg, you played golf. Have you ever had, like, think about your best round of golf that you ever played?
Oh, yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Because I suck at golf.
But, so I come home one time and I shoot my personal best score. Jane says, well, how'd you play today? And I said, I shot this. And she goes, well, that's great. Now you know how to do it. And I thought, that's not true, but she shut me up. Like, that's not true, but I can't tell you why that's not true. That's right. If I did it, then obviously I know how to do it. So why don't I just go out and do it again? I don't know. They write books on this stuff. And if any one of you can ever come up with the real reason of why we don't stay in peak performance all the time, then you should write a book, because you just changed all humankind. We don't stay in peak performance all the time. And Tara, it doesn't mean you're a loser. It doesn't mean anything negative. Leah, it doesn't mean that anything negative about you. It means that you don't stay in peak performance all the time. What do you do about it? That's the key thing. What do you do about it? When you're having, Joe, that 5%, when you're having a 5% day, what do you do about it? How do you get yourself to perform when you don't feel like performing?
But I found the best way is just to start doing stuff, and just even if it's not 100%, it's better than not doing it.
Here's what I want to leave you with this morning. For each of us, we have to figure that out. Whatever that is for you, I want you to figure it out on purpose. When I look back over my career, I think I got lucky. And I want you to get lucky. I got lucky because I had some good influences around me that kind of kept me going down the right track. Took a while to get there. Greg knows me when I was a total loser. Okay? Now I'm just not a total loser. I'm just a marginal loser. Okay? But it took to figure it out. But when I think back on it now, I think, God, I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of opportunity. I wasn't very focused. I wasn't disciplined every day. I wasn't great at managing myself. What did I do? I surrounded myself with voices that would help me get through it. That's the only thing I ever did right. I really believe that. So, like in the early 90s, and I would like you to believe, my ego would like you to believe that, wow, you were just really motivated. You just saw what you needed to do, and that's hard. You want rejection. Go out and knock on some doors. You won't get rejection over the telephone, baby. You'll get it face to face. And that's not what happened. You know what happened most days? Most days, Honda Accord, listening to cassettes, because I'm an old guy, of people that got me fired up. And sometimes it would take 5 minutes of driving around, and sometimes it would take 30 to 45 minutes. But eventually, I would get myself pumped up enough to be willing to park the car and get out of it and go knock on the first door. I can't remember a time when I ever wanted to. Not once. To pick up the phone and make the first call, to get out of the car and go knock on the first door, to do anything. I never wanted to. I was always scared. I was always hesitant. I was always reluctant. I never just wanted to. But the only thing I did right, and I did it by accident, not on purpose, and I don't want you to be by accident because it wastes way too much time, years, is I figured out what got me pumped up, what would get me out of the car. You know what did it that was non-real estate related? You're going to think this is hilarious. Bobby Brown. Oh, I had a Bobby Brown cassette. I wore that thing out. Well, I don't know why. It just got me pumped. You want me to sing every little step you take?
Yes.
I can do the whole routine for you. That got me going. I'm not saying you have to go get a Bobby Brown CD. I'm saying you have to figure out what that is for you. And you got to surround yourself with it. On the good days, I didn't need it. But those aren't that frequent. So Denzel, you joined us. Denzel, you're a basketball player.
I am.
You're a significant basketball player. How many high school state championships?
2.
2. This dude played some ball and played with some people that played some ball, right? You were always good? Like every game?
Every year.
You lying dog.
That's a bad game.
Why?
Mental focus, preparation. Then sometimes just not there sometimes.
You ever have some games where just everything you threw up went in the net?
Oh yeah, and that was my 50-point game I had.
50-point game. So you can do it. Well, just go do it every time.
Right.
Why not?
That's the goal.
Well, you did it once.
Yeah.
Well, then you know how.
Well, you have a team as well too.
If you ever get a chance, go to Google and find this. It's the greatest example of what we're talking about. Michael Jordan, I don't remember who they're playing against. Denzel, you might remember this. He's having one of those games where literally he shoots, goes in the net.
It's probably against the Hawks.
Probably. They've got this clip of him, and he's going down the court, and he's on the side, and he goes up in the air to shoot, and somebody hits him and knocks him flying out of bounds into the thing. He's not even looking at the net. He just throws it as he goes in. Swoosh. And he's getting up at the floor, and he's running back down the court, and he looks over at the bench at his coach, and he just goes. It's like, today's motivated Mike day. Everything I throw up's going to go in. Just get me the ball. It's just going in today. And he says, maybe debatedly, arguably, the greatest player ever, he'd be my first choice, is saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know why everything's going in today, but it is. Tomorrow, probably not. Tomorrow is what I want you to figure out. And figure out on purpose. What is that for you? On the days when you're reluctant, the days when you're hesitant, when the days when you feel lethargic, when you just can't get it going. You're going to have days like that. Doesn't mean you're a loser. That's what you want to tell yourself. And this is the mindset we talk about. You got to fight that stuff back. It doesn't mean you're a loser. Well, you claim, Joe, because you and I don't feel every day, or our wives don't feel every day like we did when the first week we started dating, doesn't mean I don't love my wife. And people ruin relationships, expectations. Well, that passion's not there anymore. Means I'm not in love. Means I need to go over with the new chick until chicks aren't interested in you anymore. You'll constantly be starting over. Why? Your expectations of what that's supposed to be are crazy. And too many people in our industry have these expectations of how things are supposed to be every day. And if I was supposed to be doing this, I'd feel crazy motivated all the time. No, you wouldn't. I should be having good days all the time. The fact that I'm not means there's something wrong with me. No, it doesn't. It means you're a human being, and you're going to have your good days and your bad days. Mike Ferry used to say to me, hey, when you're having those days, don't go home. The good days, don't go home. Don't go home until somebody says no to you. Why? I don't know why. Nobody knows why. Nobody's been able to figure this out, and they have sunk billions into trying to figure it out. Why? Because if Michael Jordan could be that guy every day, you'd never lose. If you could shoot that low score every time you went out to play golf, you might not ever go back to work.
That's right.
Nobody's figured it out yet, folks. There's not an answer that's available. The answer that you do want to focus on is, on the days I need help, what do I surround myself? And if you can figure out your answer to that, mine was, I listened to everything Mike Ferry did because I liked him. No, I liked him interviewing other agents. That got me motivated. Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Bobby Brown. That's what I figured out worked for me. You have to figure out what it is for you. Consistency lies in that answer. Consistency doesn't lie in trying to have your good days every day. That's not a reasonable expectation of consistency. Consistency to me means, okay, on the days I suck and I don't feel like it, can I be marginally effective anyhow? Can I get myself through that day and manage myself to not suck so bad today? Can I get a... And if you can figure that out for yourself, you will become more consistent. Because on the days when you go, I'll just work from home today. Oh, I know what that's code for. That's code for, I don't feel it today. I know what I said I was going to do, but I'm not going to do that today. Great.
You mentioned about the cassette. That, I know this ages us again, Mike, but...
You about to tell an old man story?
Sales job. I had to make phone prospecting every day. And I'd open up the Yellow Pages and start calling. That's what my boss told me to do, Fred told me to do. And I went the first day at 8:30 in the morning. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I got a cassette player. I put it on my desk. Plug it in here. You could stick this thing in your ear. You could listen to it. I listened to it.
It's called an iPod now.
Now it's all kinds of stuff. But back then, it's a little cassette player, and I played the theme from Rocky for 10 minutes. And I kept playing it over for 10 minutes. When that thing got done, I was so fired up. I was like running up the stairs and, everything. And then I said, okay, I'm ready to go. And I'd make my hour worth of calls, and I'd do exactly the same thing in the afternoon. And I think what you said is, there's a lot of truth to that, Mike, is what is it that gets us up on those days when we're not at our best? What is it?
So Greg's talked about what worked for him. I told you about what worked for me. You want to let's make sure we touch this base. You want to make healthy choices with this, okay? So if my answer is cassette tapes and your answer is cocaine, my answer is more healthy than yours, okay? So cocaine and alcohol are not I'm more of a people person after a few shots of tequila. I bet you are, but you're not going to be able to maintain consistency with that. Is that fair? Not a healthy option. I want to point out something and then we'll stop, okay? I want you to look at the room at random, and nobody was prepared for this. I just want you to look at what all the answers have in common, because it's just striking me as we're sitting here talking. Marginalization, consistency, trust, ideas, managing myself. You know the thing that these all have in common to me? It's all mindset. It's very little like, I don't know what to do, or I don't have the ability to do it. Nobody said lack of money to buy leads. Nobody said that. People said, no, that's not the biggest obstacle. The biggest obstacle is I need to be consistent every day. I really work 1 or 2 days a week. We left that part out, but I'm finishing the sentence for you, okay? I only really work a couple days a week. I know I've got everybody in my family fooled, but I know the truth, and it makes me feel bad about myself. Okay, well, you got to change that, and you can. Well, I just don't feel like it sometimes. I know. I don't feel like it either. But that's the trick. Can you manage yourself? Can you figure out what it works for you? And if you lack, like, I'm not sure how to get started with that, come talk to me, because I don't know what it is that will reach you. Tony Robbins was a great influence on me. It resonated with me, but it might not with you. But I can run through a whole list of motivational, inspirational type people that you could test out to see. And these days it's all free. You don't have to go buy anything. Just go to YouTube. It's all there. You can get there everything. There's literally no excuse for this. And I would finish by saying this to you today. When you woke up this morning, in that first 45 minutes, what did you put in your brain? What was it? How did you start the day? Because I'm going to tell you, if you started your day like with TV or the news or the internet, that could be a contributing factor. Denzel, so you finish this up. When I watch NBA games and I see the players warming up before the game and they're listening to World News Tonight.
Absolutely.
They are? They're listening to the Fox News? What are they listening to?
Music.
Why?
It gets them focused.
Yeah. Can we take a clue from them? If you're putting that shit in your brain, maybe that's a good place to start. Fair enough?
Yep.
Let's get out of here.